Welcome, everybody. It is the Paul Rodriguez Show. It is the 26th of July, 2021. It's a sports day. There's a bunch of sports news. There's a bunch of stuff been going on. Apparently, we got the man over here, producer James, in the building, doing his, prayers up for what we're going to get to be talking about. I think it's safe to say, before we don't want to bury the lead here. Is it safe to say that you're fully expecting Aaron to be at practice not tomorrow, but on Wednesday? That's when the vets are supposed. Or is it supposed to show up tomorrow? Anyways, he's coming. So, are you excited about that? Are you letting your guard down now? Is it?
So, as you can see, my attitude has kind of changed, about the whole thing, because I was
since pretty much the draft.
Yeah. So, it sounds like he is. I feel like I am letting my guard down, leaving myself open for, some bad news to just come and wreck me. But, it's like I told you. I said, what did I say? I'd rather trust Rappaport over Shefty.
Yeah, that's kind of when Ian dropped the story, Ian Rappaport, that is, I was like, okay, this is a little bit more credible. I think it kind of was slowly trickling out. But we had a lot of stuff go on also. 13-year-olds are winning gold in the Olympics, where, the men's Olympic relay team won gold again. Apparently, we own all the shooting events and archery events. So, in first 18-year-old U.S. women's Taekwondo champion winning gold, beating Russia. Just kind of racking up golds over here. I'm not really watching the Olympics, but it's coming into my feed, So I'm just like, oh, okay. That's cool. That's good to know. But our basketball team is just horrible right now. I don't know what's going on. Apparently, there's some dissension with Popovich being the head coach and what have you. But we'll see how things turn around. Maybe they get going when they time to progress and medal. But also, man, we have Deshaun Watson news. He's here at camp in Houston. Well, how are they going to handle that? That'll be interesting to see how kind of that develops as well. Jerry Jones wants to name a new GM. If it's not going to be him, we'll get into that a little bit more towards the Dallas Cowboy era. But how was the weekend, man? What would you do before we get into the topics? How was the weekend? What'd you get into?
It was good. I was working on the weekend like usual.
There you go, Drake.
But no, it was good, man.
Yeah?
Yeah. Tomorrow, well, I see people that don't have your typical the average schedule that people have, where they're like, oh, today's my Friday. So if I were one of those people, today would be my Fridays. Tuesdays are my day off.
Right.
But I don't ever put that, because I'm like, no, it's not my Friday, because I still treat Friday like Friday. It's just Tuesdays are my day off.
It's just the way you handle it.
Yeah.
It's a good approach. Probably a better way to look at it. Having that sort of outlook compared to probably the other way would be a little bit more dreadful when your Saturday's in the middle of the typical work week. I guess you could have it. But let's get back onto it. The Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers, and the front office of the Green Bay Packers seem to be coming near a agreement that would probably shave off a year of Aaron's contract. I don't think any money is going to be added to that. I think if it was about money, he would have taken that deal, which people are saying would have made him the second highest paid athlete, just behind Lionel Messi, the great striker from Argentina. And I'm pretty sure this is all about a little bit of control in the front office, a little bit of control on how Aaron is going to exit Green Bay. We won't talk about that, trust me, just because I'm going to let you bask in your exuberance that Aaron is on his way to camp, as we are expecting, I think, as many of the news sources have let out. But this has to be a sigh of relief for not only the Packers fans, who today was their shareholder meeting. I'm not sure if you had heard about that, producer James, but something that kind of came out of this shareholder meeting about the Green Bay Packers. See, we can't really see all the records of every NFL franchise, I think, because of whatever reason, but because the Packers are a publicly traded company, we can see all of their books. And one second. And since we can see their books, I had to clear the throat there for a second. Since we can see their books, apparently they made $120 million off of investments. Not revenue from ticket sales, because there's nobody at the games, merchandise, parking, concession. None of that was made from there. All of it was made from whoever Mark Murphy decided to hire as his financial advisor for the team to go ahead and make $120 million basically off of your assets. I think is a tremendous feat to accomplish while in the pandemic. Pretty much, you're pretty much saving yourself. I guess that's the way they're offsetting the cost of COVID was put all of our money into investments and see if we can make as much as we can. Depending on what your contribution was, a rate of return has got to be tremendous if you're kind of walking away with $120 million. And I'm not quite sure how Uncle Sam's going to get his hands on that money, but I'm sure they're going to pay the tax man, or if they're not going to, they're probably kick it down the road or something. Pretty sure a smarter person than I will go ahead and get into, how they could accomplish that. Maybe I need to learn how to do that, or find a guy who could do that for us when we get to that point. But I think the biggest news, because that news kind of dropped, the shareholder meeting dropped early, and it wasn't until the afternoon where Aaron was, I guess, slowly it was being let out that, oh, there's a chance. Oh, they're close. Oh, the deal is getting closer. They're just a few parts away. Which I think that all is just slow minutia to kind of finally get us to be like, oh, we're going to expedite how he comes here, but we're going to let out these little stories that kind of like get us down the road a little bit quicker in a faster, fast track sense. But also it is giving us little pieces of incremental progress, I guess you could say. But I know you're excited, but what's on the other side? Like, what's on the other side of the fence? It's like, okay, Aaron's here for 2 years if they get a deal done to let him control how he exits. But what about Davante Adams? His deal still needs to get done if a deal does get done. And is Aaron paving a way for, I think, other athletes how to handle an exit when you have multiple years left on your contract? So for Davante, I think that's the next watch. Like, Aaron's here. Okay. Now it's Davante Adams, who over the weekend over today, you sent an Instagram post where he was rated 99 in the 99 club for Madden, which I don't play Madden. Maybe I should play Madden. But he is arguably now, I think people are going to say, the best receiver in the NFL. Now Aaron's back. Fantasy owners are happy. I did a Dynasty fantasy draft this weekend. Nuts. We'll probably talk about that offline because people don't really give a shit about Dynasty. Or fantasy for that matter, unless you're like super, like a BJ in our other recon league, super, that's like he lives for that. Like his family, it's like his family, work, and then fantasy. It's like, okay, bro, do your thing. But getting back to Davante Adams, what's the feeling like? Is it we're just so happy Aaron's here, or is now with Davante it's gonna be an ordeal now, or are we just focusing on 21 season?
What's What's the situation on his contract, Davante Adams?
Oh, he's up.
He's up right now?
Yeah, now. Like this is his last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because next year he'll be franchised if they don't have a deal done.
What they were saying was, this sets up, or that the contract they're working on to set him up for him to exit next year, right? Was that correct, Aaron Rodgers?
He'll have the control to leave if he wants to.
Okay.
After the 21 season, which that's what he wants. But that's the thing is, like, I'm sure there are other concessions that Murphy and Gutekunst have to, number one, like, swallow their pride. That's why I think this whole deal is slow rolling. We're going to switch back to Aaron. I don't think Mark Murphy and Gutekunst want to swallow their pride on this one. I think they're trying to play hardball now that they know Aaron wants to play. Aaron is not going to sit out. He's not going to retire. And so if a deal does get done, they'll probably shave off the third year, which it'll be 21 season, 22 season. And then I'm sure there's other concessions that they're going to probably get in. When the story comes out and breaks, I'm sure the story's waiting to be told. They're just waiting probably for Green Bay Packers signatures from probably Murphy, Gutekunst, and Aaron. That's what I'm thinking. I think the deal is done. It's just what other addendums what other riders are we going to put in this contract to like CYA? Does that make sense? Yeah. So long story short, I think we believe Aaron's going to leave after the 21 season. Are you hopeful they're going to try to keep him? Do you think they will? Like, that's why, because when you asked me that question, I'm like, where are you coming from with that question? Is it, I hope they can re-sign him, I hope that he can stay, or is this, what is the outlook look like for him, like as far as duration?
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously I'd love for Aaron Rodgers to retire a Packers.
All of the Packers would, for sure. Aaron probably would.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, taking this one season at a time. I'm like, okay,
good approach.
This seems to be finally, wrapping up. Training camp starts, within a matter of days. So let's roll, man. Let's have fun this season. Then after, let's see where we go, and then after, we'll worry about.
So you have no reservations about Devontae Adams' contract and like how it could loom over the Packers. And do you not like trust the management now because of how poorly they handled Aaron's situation?
No, I do not.
So you don't trust them?
No.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The only thing is like that's got to be tough for when the season is over. I know what you're looking at is like the season just started. Let's focus on what's in front of us right now, and then we'll worry about that later. The only thing is that it looms, and Aaron just showed the entire NFL, the players, how to handle it. You shut your mouth. You maybe leak a couple of things out here to Shefty and Rappaport.
A couple pictures in Hawaii.
You live your best life. No, seriously, like you go live your life like you're having the best time of your life, but you don't ever address it. And if people, hardline you or press you, you just say, "Oh, well, we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there." You let out little tidbits, but at the same time, it's like it's hard for people to stay quiet. Isn't it so ironic that Deshaun Watson is following that same plan to the T? He came to camp. People thought he was going to sit out. He came to camp. He's been quiet. He hasn't said anything. His representation has. And same thing with Aaron. Aaron's not in that situation as far as the civil lawsuits are concerned. But Aaron handled it in the forum of public opinion. Aaron is, in my opinion, handled it the best way because he actually turned the tables on the franchise, on the team. Usually it's the team who's extremely quiet, lets the controversy play out in the court of public opinion, lets the player paint themselves in a corner that they can't get out of, and then they just wash their hands of it. And this way, Aaron played the opposite. And I think that's what people really need to learn from if you're going to have to handle it this way. Also
coming off of an MVP season.
Yeah, correct? For sure. But I think it's more than the MVP season. Yeah. It's more of you took a team to the NFC Championship back-to-back, which we know, NFC Championship game back-to-back. You are probably two offensive pieces away from being in the Super Bowl. Like if Bakhtiari was there, it's arguable that they're going to play in the Super Bowl and beat Tampa last year. But that didn't happen. That's not the reality. The reality is now I think Aaron's like, look, we need other pieces in place. Maybe it's an offensive line they can bring off of the free agency, or maybe it's maybe it's Randall Cobb. There's a lot of rumors that he wants to bring Randall Cobb back into play in the slot.
Yeah, he's a good
guys he's familiar with. You know what I mean? And so
Jordy.
No, I think that ship is kind of past. Yeah. I think the way what we've heard, especially through McAfee's show, is that the way they handled Cobb, the way they handled Jordy Nelson. Apparently, there was a receiver 2 years ago that the way they handled it during COVID, Aaron was exceptionally upset about. And so now it's like if there's probably be a receiver cut, an offensive player cut, I bet it's probably going to have to get checked off by Aaron moving forward. There's no way he's going to allow himself in that same situation just to go through the same headaches. It logically doesn't make sense. True?
True.
But I know that fire inside you just like passionately burning. Like you put out you haven't mentioned anything on social media about the Packers. And today, after lunchtime, I think you probably had some food in your belly and you were like, all right, I think Aaron's back. And you had to put that post out there, and I'm like, okay, let me give you a little humble pie real quick. And I just said, that was cute. I had to put, Tom and Gronk back there because when you beat them, hey, man, you can talk and say whatever you want because it ain't bragging if you can back it up. It's not shit talking if you can back it up. But until then, You got to play that role. Granted, MVP, I get it. But if you're a day late and a dollar short, it really don't matter. Really doesn't matter. But I'm glad. It's good for the league. It's good for the NFL that Aaron is coming back. Apparently, but it could all. It could be the way Gutekunst looked at Aaron, where he just gets up and walks out. And I was talking about this in a couple of my groups. I'm like, man, because we had this little gentleman's bet that I was like, look, Aaron's gonna play. He's gonna start week 1. No, there's a Washington football team playing in Lambeau. There's this, there's that. He's gonna retire. Like there was a report that came out Friday. He was gonna retire. Well, that was apparently a look crock of crap. Just nothing. And now it's like, oh, Aaron's on his way back. Just needs to finalize. We're close. We're close to finishing.
That's what this whole thing has been built on. Sources close to Aaron Rodgers say this. Apparently in a group chat,
right.
That people are close to Aaron Rodgers said this.
But it had to be. Just think about what we've been discussing for 3 months, and think about the torture that it's done to Mark Murphy and Brian Gutekunst.
Goody man.
That's what I believe this was all about. Like, I had my speculation, but now that we come full circle, Aaron told them, I don't want your 2 years and $90 million. I don't want an extended contract. I don't want to play for you all here after the 21 season. I want to come in, play with my guys, make a run at the Super Bowl. We're really close. He's not dumb. He knows they're on the precipice of playing for a Super Bowl. He understands that. With his skill and the weapons they have, they're that close. An injury here the other way, an injury that doesn't occur on their end, they're there. They got ransacked by the 49ers 2 years ago. They weren't ready for that. But this past year, yes. And he knows whatever team I go to, I won't be as close as I am now, especially with the chemistry of the teams. Now everybody's talking about the number 1 receiver in the game. You just need a couple of auxiliary pieces. And he knows it's like, let's make a run. Last dance. Subtle hints, subtle messages. Devontae and Aaron tweeting out Pippen and Jordan, last dance, the image. And then Pro Football Focus wants to do their own spin on that image with Aaron and Devontae. It's going to be a fun season. It's going to be better now especially for the fantasy leagues. In my dynasty, I had Devontae Adams, and I was like, well, we're rolling the dice. This was Saturday. But I feel a lot better today. Now nice. It's like we're golden. We're Gucci, as they say.
We're Goody.
We're Goody. Very good. We're Goody. 25 minutes after the hour. Let's get into a break. Before we get that break, Producer James, what are you going to tell the people?
Yeah, before we get into a break, if you like what you hear, you like what we do, talk sports, shoot the shit, go over the headlines, bring you the biggest headlines in sports, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and we are an audio podcast. Also on Spotify, you can listen to every episode will be posted, as soon as we're done. And on the drive to work, while you're at work or from home from work, cleaning the house, barbecuing, whatever you want to do, put us on. Very digestible podcast. 45 minutes once we cut out the breaks and all of that. Edit it up real nice, and it sounds very good. So go give us a like and a follow on there. And shoot us a comment. Let us know you're watching.
Do it. we're gonna have to fix that. We can't have it when we do the rejoins. Maybe we'll come up with a second rejoin. We have that Emporium website. Like, I pay for it, so we might as well go find some rejoin songs on there just to not have Vince yelling at everybody every time we come back from break. But yeah, man, welcome back, everybody. It's good to see y'all back here. If y'all are rejoining us, let's get to the Dallas Cowboys. They're pretty much a few days into their training camp out there in Oxnard. Over the weekend, Jerry Jones, I believe this was yesterday, saw Troy Aikman out there, sideline, taking in the team. They have this huge encampment over there in Oxnard. Everything is just so localized. It's like they have their almost like townhomes, I want to say. It's like a really nice apartment complex. And right there by the fields, they have these huge, I guess they'd be like pavilion tents. And they have where they do their rehab, where they get treatment. One of the big tents is like where they go eat, where they, get a meal, get some fluids, and then they can just hop on their golf carts and probably go back to their apartment. I bet lots of video game playing, lots of cards, lots of dominoes is probably being played in those training camps. But like I said, Troy Aikman was, at the training camp, and I remember going to see Troy Aikman whenever they were in Austin, and it just got brought up, and I'm not sure how it got brought up, but the question arose, and I'm pretty sure it's when Jerry was saying, I'd do anything to get back to a Super Bowl. I noticed how he said get back. He didn't say win. And so I'm like, for me, I'm very critical of what people actually say and how they say it, because I think Jerry's intent was to go win a Super Bowl, not get to a Super Bowl. So kind of makes you think, but in that, in that little probably exchange, I'm sure a question arose with, people talking about Troy Aikman potentially being a general manager for the Dallas Cowboys if Jerry were able to hand it over. And he said that, he would consider it, and he says he does consider it. And, he said that Troy would be the top guy on his list if he ever to relinquish that pretty much power he's had since he was in his early 50s with the Dallas, when he bought the Dallas Cowboys. That's how long it's been. Jerry's 78 years old, and they haven't won a Super Bowl since he was in his mid 50s. That just tells you how long it's been since Dallas has been, literally America's team. I mean, they've always been America's team. There was the rise of the Patriots, especially after we just had 9/11, and so that kind of had a little bit of a shift. And ever since the cap era, which that was when the last time Dallas was winning, was when there wasn't a cap. It was basically whoever's got the biggest pocketbook can go buy all the talents. We had Jerry Rice, and not Jerry Rice, but Deion Sanders, Michael Irvin, Alvin Harper, Troy, Emmett. And you have these massive offensive linemen, and it's just, I guess it's him learning how to operate in that system, because he was the GM. He never brought a young guy in who's probably been groomed how to operate an NFL franchise. And we see the success that, younger guys are having, 30-year-old guys who are having, like we have in Cleveland. Cleveland's a young team with the head coach and with the general manager. And they're turning their success around. And maybe that's what Jerry is noticing, is maybe I need a guy in here who has the credentials. Troy, he was successful in Oklahoma. Then he went to UCLA. Then he comes to Dallas, wins 3 Super Bowls, a couple of MVPs, Hall of Fame, Ring of Fame. So Jerry, I think if Jerry's going to trust, it would be a guy like Troy. Michael Irvin's real big with Jerry as far as rah-rah. He's that guy. He's the, master motivator, getting everybody hyped up. He's your hype man. But for Troy, I think we especially learned after Jimmy was fired is that, especially when you see Troy's true life, he was pissed when they fired Jimmy. I'm sorry. He was not upset when they fired Jimmy. He was good, we need a different coach. And then they bring in Barry Switzer, but Barry's a different guy now. He doesn't have all the pressures to win as he did at Oklahoma. And it's pretty much the team that Jimmy Johnson built that won that title in 95 for Barry Switzer. But, in the true life that NFL Films put together, Troy is just upset with the accountability. Nobody's being held accountable. Guys are doing what have you. Michael was getting to his situations. Nate Newton was getting into his problems. And Troy's over here trying to be the glue to keep everybody together so they can keep winning. Because that's what guys like Troy, they want to win games. Dak Prescott, they want to win games. Who else? Aaron Rodgers wants to win games. They're not here just to, pussyfoot around. They're like, I want a damn championship. Same thing with Tom Brady. Playing catch with jug machines. Get out of here, Tom. But getting back to Troy, it's like, I think Troy has the eye for talent. I think he probably learned a lot from Jimmy Johnson and how Jimmy approached the game. Jimmy was one of the first guys to have a grade system for players who are coming out of college, which he developed himself. And I'm sure a lot of people have expanded on. But to be assessing talent like a scout or someone who's been a part of the game for Troy, probably going on 40 plus years at the highest level, elite college into the NFL. And what is he doing during the season? He's watching football games. So he obviously can assess the talent, I think, pretty well. And being in that general manager position, I think that would be a great fit for Dallas if Jerry decided to let that go. But if I know Jerry's the ultimate alpha. He's like, fuck y'all. I'm keeping this. I'm not going anywhere. You're taking me literally out on my deathbed. That's the only way I'm going. And I won't even let Steven do anything. I'm sure Steven does some things, but for Jerry, he's so passionate, and I think he doesn't want to turn over the team so that if they do win, in the 90s, it was about Jimmy Johnson winning the Super Bowls. That is the common notion. Those Super Bowls were not Jerry's. They were Jimmy's. I don't care if Barry Switzer was the head coach or not. But now it's like you haven't been successful without Jimmy. And now maybe you need a guy who Jimmy brought in, or he didn't bring him in. Troy was there before Jimmy got there, to go in and turn your team around. And I feel personally, I think Troy could do a good job, because I would sure hate it if another team, I don't know, maybe a team up north like the New York Giants, go and tell, hey, Troy, we want you to come interview for our GM position. And he gets the job. And then they go in and they dominate the NFC East. And we're over here saying, hey, Jerry, you said you'd consider it. Why didn't you pull the trigger? That's just what would happen if we kind of saw that progress. I think Troy would do a great job. I hope that if Jerry does really consider it, as he says he does, give it a shot if you're not successful now or in the next year or two, because you're pushing 80, bro. Like, you gotta win now. And I think that's why he was so probably entrenched with Dak's contract. He's like, if I'm going to do it, I got to do it now, because there's nothing left. That's so hard to find quarterbacks. I mean, probably not right now, but next year it's going to be the biggest target's going to be Aaron, because Deshaun Watson's going to get shipped this year. And so what do you want? Do you want a guy coming out of college, or do you want a proven commodity and a veteran who can do what Tom Brady did in Tampa? So that's just a little side note for that part. But what are your thoughts about Jerry Jones talking about potentially relinquishing the control as general manager over the team? You think he'd be excited or a little passive aggressive about, let's say Troy comes in, wins a Super Bowl. Do you think he'd be excited, or do you think he'd be a little salty?
I mean, I was about to say knowing Jerry, which I don't know him personally, but
what you know of him?
Yeah, I would think that he would be a little salty.
I think so too.
Gotta be, because
he knows that he won't. He loves to be like the marketer guy, the salesman. But Jerry, it's like, look, man, like, I know you won a national title at Arkansas. I get it. I understand. But this is a different game. When you were playing football, not everybody was getting to play football. If you catch my drift. They only let everybody play on the West Coast. If you catch my drift. So, it's I think Troy would do a good job. I'd like to see Troy in the position. I think that my biggest thing is, what do you want to leave his cozy little job with Joe Buck and get away from his friend for a little bit? I don't know. They seem mighty cozy together in that booth, don't they?
Oh yeah, for sure.
A lot not as cozy as luckily Jim Nantz is there, right? Jim Nantz is on CBS, and I think Jim gives Tony a good barrier. Like, hey man, just stay right there. You don't get. I'm not Joe Buck. Basically, is what he's saying. That's just a little humor. What's up?
Hey, while we're on the topic of the Dallas Cowboys, did you see that clip of Deion Sanders? He was getting interviewed. Like they were having some sort of like it was like a
it was at the SWAC media days.
Yeah, correct. And he saw that he got pissed off. It's what it seemed that that guy was like, "Hey Deion," and then he's like, "Whoa, you don't who did he say?
Do you call Saban Nick?
Yeah, he called Saban
now,
Nick.
So I have mixed feelings about this because I understand what Deion is saying. I understand. Let me put some respect on his name. I understand what Coach Prime is doing. Okay, hey man, hey Coach Prime, hey man, we've been here since the beginning, so I don't need you in the DMs or nothing. I've been riding with J State the whole time. So, two parts. Number one, that media person should have called him Coach Sanders, or Coach Prime, or Prime. Any of those probably would have worked, but you called him Deion. And I think Prime has earned the respect to, number one, this ain't his first year coaching. Okay? He's won state championships in Texas in the private school league. Okay? He's paid his due. He didn't just jump into the head coaching position. He started out as a coordinator and worked his way up, and he spoke it into existence. I remember on what's his name? He does the 40-yard dash. I can't think of his name off the top of my brain. Anyways, he told this pundit, "I'm going to be a coach next year." Well, this was the year before at the Super Bowl media days. He goes, "I'm going to be a head coach at a D1 program." Well, it just so happened that it's true. And for me, Deion corrected that media person and said, "Do you call Saban Nick?" And everybody knows the answer is no, because he's won numerous national championships. But on the other side, Prime, you don't get to behave that way when you haven't won any national championships, collegiate championships, SWAC championships. But at the same time, it was like Prime was wrong the way he held that media person accountable, and that media person was wrong for the way he addressed Prime, because you could have used any of the terms I just listed. What's wrong with coach? You're at a SWAC media days. Your job is to call the coach by their name that's not their first name. It's like for your children. Or I don't have any children, but it's like if your children went up to you and said, "Hey, James," hell no.
2 chops to the throat.
Right. 2 chops to the throat. You tell him LeVar, I'm sorry. You tell him LeVar. 2 chops.
Lavelle.
Is it Lavelle?
Lavelle.
Oh man, all I know is you hit the back of my heel with that shopping cart. 2 chops to the throat. So it's one of those things where it's like, you don't address someone who has that stature, and who's a head coach of a D1 program, hell, and even a high school coach, even a junior high coach. Anytime I see a coach that I know is a coach or has been a coach, it's still coach. Hey coach, how's it going? Yeah. It's like when you address someone like, "Hey, Mr. So-and-so," like if they told you, "Address me as Mr. So-and-so," or just so-and-so. It's one of those things like when I worked with at-risk kids a long time ago, I said, "You can call me 2 things. If you call me anything else other than these 2 things, I'm not responding to you." And you make it real clear. You can call me Mr. Rodriguez or you can call me Rodriguez. It's real simple. But if you call me anything else, I will not address you. I will not answer you. I will help everybody else in this room except you until you decide to respect my wishes that I've had of how you address me. It's real simple.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Prime was trying to do. I think it just came out because he used the wrong example. If he would have used one of his coaches at SWAC, how did you address Coach so-and-so? I would be like, okay, you got a point. But because you chose to choose the top guy of this era, it makes you look a little more pretentious than you probably intended to be. And I think Prime had good intentions. His intent, I think, was in the right place. It was to correct this media person and have him address him in a respectful manner. He just used the wrong example.
Yeah. Yeah, I have, so I used to go to the boxing gym here in town, and, we call him Coach Pete.
Right.
But to this day, like, when I see him, I'm like, hey, what's up, coach? I don't ever call him by his first name or anything like that.
Right.
Also, too, that dude, because he was like, whoa. And he was like, you don't call Nick Saban Nick. And he was like, actually, yeah, I do. Like, that dude was just being a smart ass.
He was just choosing to be pretentious.
Yeah. And then, so, Deion spits his little take. And then he goes, okay, Deion. And like, right. Dude, he was just asking for it.
That's a part of that guy trying to get a story also.
Yeah.
He's like, look, I got a rise out of Deion Sanders. And so he can go back and sell that story. He's like, oh, you pissed off Prime? Yeah, you pissed off Deion. But that's where maybe that's how that guy rolls. Like, Stephen A. Smith went to Deion Sanders and said, Deion, what's happening? He probably wouldn't call him that. But that's another thing where Prime is saying, you are not on my level. That's another thing that he's communicating to this media person. Like, I'm pretty sure Mike Greenberg, I'm pretty sure Colin Cowherd, Skip Bayless, Paul Rodriguez. No, it's small mic. I'm pretty sure those guys can address him a certain way because maybe they have a relationship that way. It brings to a story that I had. And it's a little bit of a story. I had a really good friend of mine. I got hired to join this team, and it was a great team. And my buddy's father, his name, I'm not going to use his name, but I'll just say that his initials were LM. And my father raised me that anybody who is older than you or close to your age, it's Mr. So-and-so, Mrs. So-and-so, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. That's just the way I was raised. Well, as I joined this team and I get, acclimated and, they find out who I am personality-wise and I find out them, we go off on our first fantasy trip, our fantasy football getaway weekend with the boys. And LM, I was always calling him Mr. M, Mr. M, Mr. M. And finally, one time, I guess he just got fed up with it, and he turned to me and he said, P-Rod, friends call him P-Rod. He goes, P-Rod, I want you to call me L. He goes, my friends call me L. And that's when I understood that building relationships with certain individuals, when they tell you, you can call me L, that means that number one, you have their respect and vice versa, and that they're giving you permission to call them by their first name. And I think that's where Prime was trying to get to with this guy. And maybe Prime knew this dude was an asshole. Maybe he knew. Maybe he knew he was going to try him. And Prime said, not today. He goes, and so he went and had his little 15 minutes of fame, giving a little exchange with Deion, with Prime. And so he got a little notoriety, and we're talking about it. But at the end of the day, everybody's going to see that and be like, that dude really looks like an asshole. Why are you disrespecting Prime?
He does,
like that?
too. He had like a little grin on his face when he was like, okay, Deion.
Like a little shitty grin, like, I'm getting a rise out of you. Yeah. What is that going to do? It's probably going to ruin your relationship with Prime and Jay State. And it's probably going to ruin a relationship with all of those guys that respect Prime and his players, which means you may not get access to certain things. And so if that's the way you want to live your life, great. That's fine. But it's your head. It's your job. It's your livelihood on the line. So that's the way I felt about it. I'm pretty sure. Is that somehow you've thought about it?
Yeah, for sure. I was like, because I was thinking, and I was like, man, I probably would have done the same. I probably would have called him probably like Deion Sanders, right? Yeah. Maybe, I don't know. I was thinking about it. And but as soon as he corrected me, I would have been like, oh, okay, excuse me, Coach or Mr. Sanders, you know. Right. And I would have carried on because he let me know. But this guy, obviously, like you said, he was looking for, his little 15 minutes or whatever. And he got it, so, whatever.
Yeah, and it's just kind of the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. But like I said, Prime probably should have used a different example. But It is what it is. 53 minutes after the hour. Before we go to break, producer James, let them know.
Like, subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you watch your podcasts and wherever you listen to your shows.
Welcome back, everybody. It is the Paul Rodriguez Show coming out of Studio 44. Just doing a hard rejoin just so we can kind of get back into this and wrap the show up. Over the weekend, TJ Dillashaw was coming back from his, suspension, I guess you could say. And, yeah, he got into a fight with the number 2 ranked 55er. Is that right?
Yeah.
And that was a war. I didn't know it was going to be 5 rounds, but he went to 5 rounds. Dillashaw got cut up. Apparently, that's some scar tissue. I guess just how Nick Diaz has scar tissue on his face, and the bad boy just opened up. But I was a little concerned, mainly due to the fact that whenever he did get split open, that bad boy just gushed out into his right eye. And I was like, they're going to stop this fight. But, of course, the Nevada doctor's like, oh, you can fight through that, can't you? He's like, of course I can. They let that bad boy go on and went to a split decision, but TJ was able to pull the victory after he got caught, tested positive for PEDs?
He was doing EPO. He was Lance Armstrong in it.
What is that? Is it steroids?
EPO.
Is it performance enhancing?
Yeah.
Okay, PEDs.
It's like whenever so they take your blood out and then they do some stuff to it and then they inject it back inside of you. It's what Lance Armstrong was doing.
Like dialysis?
That's
what they do. They take it out, they clean it, and then they put it back in.
I guess similar to that. They enrich something so you're able to last longer. I guess is what it is. They enrich your blood and then they shoot it back into you.
I guess that's why old people had to go to dialysis. No, I'm just kidding. I shouldn't joke about that. My fault, yo. Those people did not deserve that. But Dillashaw deserved this consequence apparently.
Yeah, most definitely.
How long was it? 5 years?
No, I think he was on a 2-year suspension. I want to say, yeah, he wasn't gone for that long.
Maybe I just lumped everybody. So you're telling me you use steroids, you get 2 years, but if you use vitamins, you get 5? Is that what you're telling me?
It's all.
No. Is that what you're telling me?
Give me an example.
Nick Diaz tests positive for marijuana and he gets suspended for 5 years.
Yeah.
And TJ Dillashaw gets caught using performance-enhancing drugs and gets a 2-year suspension?
That's the way it is. They don't test for it anymore, right? Marijuana?
No. Well, in the Olympics they do. We just had that whole controversy going on. Is that what that's saying? It was a 2-year suspension?
Let's see here.
I think if you get popped for PEDs, you should seriously and you go through the appeal and all that and you're still found to have been using performance, this should be a 10-year suspension.
So he was stripped of his bantamweight title, and he was handed a 2-year suspension from USADA. The question is, for me, of course, is how long have you been doing it? You know what I mean?
How long have you been potentially injuring people also on these PEDs?
Correct.
It's we're not here playing football even football you can still seriously injure somebody, but it's not Mark McGuire over here hitting a baseball. You're gonna bean you in the head. Barry Bonds bean you in the head. You're literally fighting. You're literally trying to hurt another human in the octagon while on PEDs.
Yeah, so it says here, EPO is a naturally occurring hormone in the body that stimulates the bone marrow to produce more red cells. Medically is given to patients with anemia of chronic disease whose bone marrow is suppressed to help them have more energy and increase daily function. But you inject it into an elite athlete and the extra oxygen increases their aerobic capacity. Mm-hmm. If the cell factory runs out of oxygen, it turns to anaerobic metabolism, whose waste products shut down the ability to perform. Yeah.
So what's the source?
This is from medicinenet.com. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, so we're trusting MedicineNet gave us accurate information.
Should I go to WebMD?
No, we should just let the people know that this is who was telling us that information about EPOs and blood doping.
Yeah, if you want to know more about EPO, just go read up on Lance Armstrong and the whole deal.
So is USADA the same people who tested Lance Armstrong?
The guy that runs USADA, which is the U.S. anti-doping agency, is Jeff Nowitzki, and he is actually the guy that busted Lance Armstrong.
Oh, so he made his nut.
Oh yeah,
pun intended, on Lance Armstrong.
Yeah, he is the guy. Yeah, it's interesting, man. Do you remember all of that? With Lance and all that, dude. That was the first time.
We're so close to Austin.
That was the first time that an athlete using steroids. I was like. I almost felt betrayed because I don't even watch cycling or anything like that. But I was like, dude, I believed him. And then, you know, he went on Oprah and she was like, have you used performance enhancing drugs? And he's like, yes, I have. And I was like, dude, because he was over there selling all those Live Strong bracelets and like you couldn't even
That
check
was
out.
Nike selling those Live Strong. Well, he started.
Yeah, he started the whole story of him, you know,
overcoming,
comeback, continuing. He did like 3 more titles.
But are we really that naive to think that because Lance overcame cancer and then rattled off 7 Tour de France, 7 Tour de France's, that he wasn't using something?
Yeah.
That was right at the end of the Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, PEDs in baseball.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't be shocked. We shouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I guess maybe because of my young age, I was at the time.
Okay, that makes sense because this is what, like early 2000s?
Yeah. So nowadays, man, if so normally how it happens, there's some sort of list, or how it used to happen. You know, there was some list like in baseball. If you were on that list, you're guilty. You know, like I don't care. People,
A-Rod,
Rafael Palmeiro, you remember him? Barry Bonds.
He was a little guy though, so was Bond. They were all little guys.
Yeah, Sammy Sosa. Yeah, when they got into
in the
league,
80s, they were real thin.
Yeah.
Thin. Even their frame was thin.
Yeah. Was it him? Was it Palmeiro? He went before Congress and he removed his glasses and he was like, I have not taken performance enhancing drugs. Let me be clear on that. And then like, you know, not long after that, it comes out he's on some list, or he was on the list already to begin with, but they have like proof.
Is that for real? Like it's not like alleged. Like that's real.
That he went before Congress? Yeah, there's video of it.
Okay, but what I'm saying is he was on this list. Like that's real. You don't got to. I believe you. I want to make sure. Like if somebody like, well, this person and this person.
Hey, bring it on, man.
Okay, I mean you're usually not this passionate about something, so I'm gonna take you at your word.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it's not surprising. Like I guess hindsight's 2020, but looking back on it, it's like, okay, Lance Armstrong had cancer, survived cancer, rattles off these, you know, record-setting Tour de France victories, and he wasn't on something.
Yeah. So this article right here from calltothepin.com, I'm not familiar with this site, but it says one of the multitude of players that Jose Canseco called out as using PEDs was Palmeiro, and he's remembered for his emphatic finger pointing and denial before Congress. That moment was put to a laugh track the moment he was announced as failing a PED test in 2005, which basically ended his career.
It's amazing what the ego can do, right?
Yeah, dude.
When people don't know your dark little secrets.
It's crazy. So I've seen Lance deny to the point to where I'm like, dude, if you're rumored, like I'm just gonna go ahead. I mean, you know, innocent until proven guilty, but I'm just gonna go ahead and
not in the court of public opinion.
Yeah, true. Yeah, not in my opinion either. You know,
it's like, what did he do? Oh yeah, he did it.
Yeah,
he's guilty.
I mean, yeah, dude. There's been a number like A-Rod as well. You know,
I'm a little more biased towards like football players. Like when this whole Deshaun Watson thing broke, I'm like, let me see the facts. We've been through this before. We've destroyed people's careers before. Same thing with Sherman. I was like, Sherman needs some help. Like he needs some help. But then there's some NFL guys where I'm not like, no, dude, you're full of shit. Like Ray Rice, bro, you're full of shit.
Yeah.
You can't beat people on cameras in Las Vegas. You can't beat your wife and then deny it. Like, no, it just doesn't happen. Don't work like that.
Don't get me started on Ray Rice, dude.
Yeah, and he deserved what he got. He lost his. Yeah, he deserved that. He deserved it. But there's also other NFL players who beat up their girlfriends, and then nothing happens to them.
They get signed by the Dallas Cowboys.
No, well, then they get knocked out by dudes who drink shoeies. So it's a full circle, right? I mean, karma will catch you one way or another. It's like the Grim Reaper. It'll go door to door, and eventually it'll find you.
Yeah.
How do we get get back to the Dallas Cowboys with TJ Dillashaw?
Dillashaw, you know, connected with EPO and all of that. You know,
then we just found a roundabout way to get to Lance Armstrong. We covered like 4 sports. We even talked about baseball.
Yeah. By the way, while you know we're discussing cycling,
dark side,
real quick. Yeah, true. I went and had lunch with my girlfriend today, and they had the Olympics on, and they're doing it's like mountain biking, dude.
Okay.
These guys are hauling ass uphill, downhill, jumping rocks. And I was like, dude, look at this. Like, I didn't know it existed, first of all. And I was like, dude, this guy, he was coming off a rock, and I guess he had too much weight going towards the front of his bike. He just ate it, dude.
Did his bike collapse or anything?
He did a front flip, you know, like almost every kid has done back in the day. You know?
I've done it and broken my arm. Yeah.
Yeah. So he hit it and he wiped out, dude, and he was done. Yeah.
Did you get all like road rashed up or something?
He got up and then he kind of just like laid there as everyone just passed him by. But they're hauling ass, dude. Like props to those guys, man. Pretty cool.
Again, they got like massive leg, lower body, right?
Yeah, they got to. They were like, you could just see them like using all those leg muscles to like go uphill and stuff, you know.
I've seen photos where they're these I guess these mountain racers. It's like they got a little bitty waist, a little bitty torso, little bitty arms, and they got just massive lower body legs. Like you put a receiver on offensive lineman's lower body. That's what it kind of looks like.
It's like opposite of the joke of skipping leg day.
Yeah, it's literally quite the opposite. It's like who put the power lifter's lower body on the gymnast, pretty much. Well, it is 16 minutes after 9 o'clock. Anything else for the people? Any other questions? Anything pop in your brain?
We unloaded today.
Man, we got into it a little bit. I think as Aaron comes back, I think this has brought a new producer, James. You're back. You're back. That rainy little cloud is gone away. The sunshine's like, how does that song go? Oh, I can't think off the top of my head. Anyways, it looks like you're.
I can see clearly now. The rain is gone.
Shoot. Yep, that's what it is, man.
That was a bad, by the way, not me singing.
Oh, I have to pay for that one. Payday. Yeah.
You want payday, man.
I know what you want. I know it, man. I got to get that on the boards too. That's just nuts. Anything exciting going on this week as far as any shows, anything getting into? Have you heard of Ted Lasso?
I have not.
So apparently Ted Lasso is like this former football coach, like American football. And then he gets hired to go coach like soccer, like football in Europe. Yeah. It's on Apple TV. I don't have Apple TV, but apparently this is like the hot show people like are getting into. Second season just started, but everybody's pretty pissed off because Apple TV just released one episode. They're releasing one episode per week in season 2. Sounds like somebody I know who gets upset when there's not the entire series that I can binge. Yeah, that's why I didn't get into it, because it was one episode per week. I'm like, no, you're a streaming service. Just let it all out. I mean, just let it out. Amazon gives you the whole season.
Yeah, true.
Netflix gives you the whole season. What's wrong with you, Apple?
Or Disney.
Oh, Disney's that way too?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm on job with y'all. I just can't do it.
When does Hard Knocks start?
I believe it begins August 10th. I could be wrong, but yeah, that's coming. That's a week to week too, but I get it. It's real life. It may be a little like WWE. It may be a little finagled.
Well, it is Vince. Not Vince. It is. No, I was gonna connect Vince McMahon to Jerry Jones.
How are you gonna do that?
No, just saying. I mean, you're like, it's interesting, but it's not all reality.
Oh, it's reality.
It's Jerry Jones.
It's to me, it's like Hard Knocks is reality TV with a football filter and a dramatic voiceover. Like, to me, that's what it is. It's like, how can we make pro football even more dramatic? It's like, we're going to tell this really good feel-good story. We're going to let everybody see practice a little bit. And then we're going to show you somebody getting cut at the very end. And then we're going to leave you on a cliffhanger. That's what it is. Just it's a soap opera for guys. Same thing like WWE. Same difference. That's just this is kind of how I see it.
Yeah.
But I like Hard Knocks. I mean, when Ballers, remember Ballers with Dewey? When it first began, what's wrong with Dewey? See, that's where The Rock, he would probably check me.
Yeah.
But then I would be like, Stockton, bitch!
Oh, damn.
I'd be like, that's what I would do. I'd be like, what's up? What's up? The Rock could get it too.
Dude. He'd probably leave the Zoom call immediately.
Good.
Fly to Texas.
Could bring it. Do I got to call Mark Henry? Do I got to call Mark? Do I got to call Callaway? Do I got to call both Marks? Mark and Mark? We'll get Callaway over here too. Do I got to call Matthew? Do I get McConaughey on the line? the Minister of Cultura.
You're like, you shut your hole. Know your role.
What? Do I got Stone Cold? Do I get Austin on the line? I just keep saying what? 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 That's what I would do. Stockton, bitch.
I think we need that bad too. What?
No, because then we'll get popped by Vince McMahon. Vince, hey man, I get it. You own your property. I get it.
He wants it all.
He wants every day, just
time.
like Dana. I want all of it. And I gave props to you. I get it. Props. I would too. I don't want to share. I want it all.
I stumbled across earlier this story about, I think his name's Sean Oakman. You remember that?
Yeah, from Baylor.
Yeah.
Interesting. He got accused of doing something and then he turned out to be innocent.
But in the court,
that's
a public opinion.
Why we want all the facts.
Yeah. Yeah. So I stumbled across that and I was like, damn, that's crazy, dude. And I remember seeing him in like memes and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like
6'9", 260, like chiseled from granite.
Yeah. Crazy. Good story. Sean Oakman, go check that out.
Could put LeBron could put LeBron in the corner, literally. Put LeBron, like, Bron, go sit down. Like, he's literally the size of you. Probably bigger, probably stronger. How much do you think LeBron weighs? Because you've seen what Sean Oakman looks like, right?
Yeah.
And he's listed at 6'9", 260. And you've seen LeBron training without a shirt on, and he wants to do that big flex. They say LeBron's 260. He doesn't look 260. He looks like 220.
I thought that. Yeah, I thought he was like 225.
Because I hear people saying 6'8", 260. He could play defensive end. He could play like, no, he's not Julius Peppers.
No.
Okay.
No, he's not. I don't care. No, he's not.
Because he's not he's a big guy because he's tall, but he's not a massive human.
No.
Not like Sean Oakman.
I mean, he is on the basketball court, you know.
Yeah, because it's relative to everybody else.
Yeah.
But you go put Shaq out there, he gonna look small. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just the same way if you put Charles Barkley next to Dewey. Dewey looks small.
I don't like that, dude.
What? That's Dwayne.
Yeah.
So what's wrong with that?
Because I think of Scary Movie.
I know you do. That's the whole point.
Officer Dewey.
That's the point. I know what I'm saying here. We're gonna piss off all the celebrities. Like, hey, do you want to go on to Paul Rodgers? No, that dude's an asshole. Yeah, we know. I know. I don't care. If he ain't no West Coast gangster.
True.
But George Masvidal is a gangster.
Oh, by the way, did you see that Kamaru Usman will face Kobe Covington in the rematch?
I heard something about that. Is that? I thought that was just
it's
hyperbole.
I got ESPN breaking news earlier. Apparently, it's been signed, but they don't know the venue yet. It's to be determined. They're hoping to do it in Madison Square Garden.
Why? What happened last time there was a huge fight for a belt in Madison Square Garden?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Was that
That's the BMF belt.
Oh, okay.
That's when Nick got cut. I'm sorry. That's when Nate got cut. And the doctors in New York stopped the fight because they're like, oh, he can't fight through this.
Yeah.
We're stopping the fight.
I was thinking on Saturday watching the fight, I was like, where were these doctors?
But remember, it's the commission in that state. Yeah. And in Las Vegas, these doctors, they don't care. Well, I think they do care, but they're going to be like, can you fight? Like, you can do this, right? You can fight through it. And they're going to leave it up to the fighter. If he wants to go, let the man go. He didn't go sacrifice and train and diet and, be away from the family to like not try, not compete. But these people in New York, man, they're not used to that. They're not used to that type of sport.
It's You hit it on the head. They're not used to it. They're
they're too civilized.
Within the last 2 to 3 years is when they got into the game.
Yeah. Yeah. They were abstaining for a long time. Even when New Jersey was like when UFC went to Trump's hotel in New Jersey, right next door to New York. This was the early UFC. And they were like, yeah, we don't care. Come do your cage fighting over here. Damn.
Before we go real quick, the dark side chat. Did you see how Dana White, he said that his production team effed up them not showing Donald Trump on the broadcast?
Do you believe that? I don't.
It had to have been intentional. How do you not show a former president that is in the freaking building? You know what I'm saying?
They only showed the celebrities one time.
Well,
and
remember,
Trump wasn't there.
I told you, I was like, oh, so are you saying that whenever they show the celebrities that Trump, I thought they do like rounds of them.
No, right. They usually do rounds. Like at big pay-per-views, they'll do like 2 or 3 rounds before the co-main. But then like Trump didn't show up until the main.
And yeah.
Like they were already fighting whenever he showed up.
Oh, do you think really? No, I don't think they were fighting when he showed up.
Because listen, remember when they were in the first round, Trump comes in, everybody's like USA, USA. Remember? And then a second round of USA was like a little more faint. And then in round 2, all you heard was ole, ole, ole,
of the main event?
Yes,
there wasn't no round 2.
Well, then maybe was it? Yeah, you're right. It wasn't round 2.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it was throughout the whole first round. We have to go back and watch it.
Okay.
But I remember USA chants when Poirier and Conor. I remember.
I think it was sooner. Remember, I had told you because I was on Twitter and I was like, he's in the building. When are they going to show him? I just wanted
But he didn't come out until I thought he didn't come out. There's a bunch of YouTubes. We'll have to go back and look. But I remember
he was sitting next to the Nelk boys and Addison Rae.
Man, Trump was sitting in front of them. Trump was sitting with the billionaires. The millionaires just happened to be behind them. But I think that was smart for Dana to put Trump by the Nelk boys because the Nelk boys Trump invited the Nelk boys to some of his events. So he was like, okay, whoever's probably not going to piss off Donald, we'll put them next to the Nelk boys. That's probably because he knew them. That's what I think.
Right.
But I mean, Donald was sitting over there with Robert Kraft and probably a couple other. It was like billionaires and then everybody else, you know. But if you're a billionaire, I mean, shit. But dude, the security though, the security was tight. Apparently, he went to go talk to Joe right before the fight. He said, "Love what you do. You do a great job." And then DC was next to him, and Trump was like, "I wouldn't want to fight that guy." Oh no, shit.
Hey, Trump on JRE. You with it?
Dude, apparently, have you heard what Joe's talked about?
No.
Joe said that the Trump campaign before the election, that the Trump campaign reached out, or he reached out to the Trump campaign twice. Like he reached out to them and said, "Hey, come on the show." And Trump was like, "If you get Biden on your show, we'll do it together."
Yeah, I did hear that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because Joe didn't want to have Joe just wanted Trump. I think because he knew what he was going to get with Joe. Is like Joe's probably going to have scripted questions.
Dude, can you imagine the melee in that room?
Dude, it would have just been Jamie would have been like Jamie's going to have to be referee.
Yeah, so I feel like the move you go with is you have a show with Trump, you have a show with Biden.
But I don't think Trump wanted that.
Yeah. And plus, I mean, is Biden good to go for 3 hours?
Maybe. We don't know. He could be.
Yeah.
But
I'm not saying he isn't.
But here's the thing, like Joe would, I think you'd get a lot of interruptions with Joe and Trump because you got 2 alphas and Joe's not going to hold his tongue and Joe's going to be, but see, the thing about Trump is he's going to sell it to you and you're going to buy it. That's the thing. That's how it happens. He's a salesman. That's why he won the first time. He just sold the product.
Trump on JRE, #1 downloaded show. On JRE.
Shit, man. You know how much flack Joe would get? People already think he's like some CIA.
Yeah, but you know they would listen regardless.
Well, of course, it's polarizing.
I think Alex Jones is one of his top downloads.
Dude, I might be a little retarded. Dude, that was hilarious. When he said that, I'm like, well, that's what everybody thinks, Alex.
Yeah.
Moron. I like Alex Jones to a point. But when Uncle Joey was on Alex Jones's radio show like years ago, dude.
Kid in the candy store.
You better check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I don't know. President Biden, President Trump, if y'all want to come, hell, Barack Obama, y'all want to come on the show? Let me know. I don't think y'all would, but you're more than welcome.
Barack Obama?
What about him? Want to get old GW over here too?
Oh, man.
I don't know. GW's probably at his ranch right now in Crawford, Texas.
You want to see these lights come crashing down?
It's like all the power gets turned off. The power comes back on. It's just like all these Secret Service, like, what? What do y'all want? We just invited them to the show. We're here to do a security perimeter check. I'm like, oh, well, does that mean they're coming? That's all I want to know. Are they coming or not?
We'll let you know.
When you need to know, you'll know.
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't really talk about Texas OU again, really. Not that much.
No.
It's going to be big news when it's all said and done. Well, you heard what happened today, right?
I saw that it said that, I mean, it all but seems that they are heading to.
Well, they announced, Texas and OU in a joint message notified the Big 12 that they are not renewing their media rights, the grant to their media rights. So basically in 2025, when the media rights are over, they're not renewing them. So potentially that could be the exit strategy for Texas and OU to maybe avoid paying that $80 million fine. $76 million is what it is, 76. But I don't think the SEC is going to want to wait. They're like, look, y'all need to be here now. Like, I believe the SEC wants Texas OU beginning 2022 season football. That's the way I'm taking it. They're like, what are 2023? No. You're here now. Not tomorrow. You're here now. So it'll be more interesting as like the season gets going and then these matchups and how they play out. And like what I'm really curious about is like, what is it going to look like if Texas or Oklahoma, which I'm not saying Texas will, I'm saying potentially, if Texas or Oklahoma makes it to like the playoff, top four, and then Oklahoma beats like, I don't know, they beat a SEC team because two of them are going to get in. That'll be something. But then Texas could get there and it's going to be a mess. It's going to be a show either way. But if Oklahoma's going to beat a team this year, like to get to the national championship, it's this year. They're loaded. So we'll see. Plus you got Spencer Rattler coming back and it'll be fun. I feel for Texas. Like it may be a rough road. Their dominance could be like national dominance could be highly in jeopardy with them moving to the SEC. All right, I guess that's the show. We'll be back tomorrow. Producer James will probably be even more spiffy than he is because he's not going to be coming in from work. And then, until mañanas.
Follow, like, share, subscribe.
We out.